Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to a very special edition of Hallyujuku, our Hallyujuku Year-End Special. Well, at least one of them. The first one. And this special is a nice, very, very special, because this is our girl group special. We're going to take a look back at 2014 when it comes to girl groups. The ladies. Right behind me. The ladies behind me. We are going to talk about them.
Cannot fucking find goddamn fam on Google Music. Damn it, get your shit together. I don't... Moving on already.
Moving on. We're going to talk about them in a future episodes, but moving on. We're talking about some girl groups. We're going to kind of go through with these episodes with each of these in kind of a pattern. First of all, we're going to talk about some of the debuts that happened this year.
Well, all right. Let's let the viewing and listening public give them a bit of an understanding, right? We slotted everything out into three separate categories. We got our girl groups, we got our boy groups, and then we have our solo debuts, groups that
solo collabs,
things we couldn't place.
Yes, solo collabs, bands, things that aren't like girl groups or boy, idol groups, and things like that. So we have these categories. Today is about girl groups, and we're gonna start off with kind of who are the babies of this year, the little baby girls of this year, the debuts. So we're kind of going through kind of a flow with this one. I think one of the earliest ones that I think I almost forgot about was Bebop. At the time, it's almost weird to talk about them now because now the way they're blossoming now is more of a band, but they really are at the core a pop idol girl group. I mean, they play instruments, but so does the one form of AOA, and let's be honest. They are blossoming into more of a band, but they did debut as a girl group, and it was a kind of very cool, interesting debut. Do you remember Bebop, Kaz? No.
No. I somewhat remember Bebop. It's just like they were kind of odd in a sense.
Yeah.
And I know they did a couple of covers, and a lot of their stuff, like when we talk about these groups and stuff like that, it's also the imprint that they made on the year.
Yeah.
A lot of their stuff was all over 1TheK, his YouTube channel. So, that for us is a really big thing.
Yeah.
I know there was a few articles about them on some of the places that we like to go, and see articles, but they weren't kind of this thing that blossomed throughout the whole year. Yeah. They kind of showed, blossomed out. You kind of got this idea of what they were. I think they also did some collaborations.
Yeah, so they worked alongside veteran singer Wax in a single this year. Kind of were on stage with her on music shows, inexplicably because they never really have really good sound equipment for live instruments at music shows. But whatever. Whatever. But it was cool. And Ayeon actually kind of made her drama debut on the Korean remake of No Dame Cantabile, aka Tomorrow's Cantabile, or Cantabile Tomorrow, depending on how you want to kind of translate that. Nei's Cantabile. So they kind of had they made an impression of kind of being a group people worked with more than the mainstream knew about. They had a song here, and they had recently a new song, which is cool, where they actually are starting to write their own music, blossoming into a band. So they are making headway inside the industry, similar to kind of what the group that we're going to talk about as our far and away leaders as far as debuts in a second. But yeah, similar in the industry. They kind of within the industry, they are making connections and making some progress. But yeah, they were kind of an early group. and makes some good impressions. So Bebop, another group that kind of debuted early this year. I don't believe you were really up on them. I was kind of up on them and mostly knew them as Friends of Crayon Pop, which was Bob Girls, provided to us by the very same group that gave us Crayon Pop. Bob Girls was kind of more of a sexy girl group from Crayon Pop, more of a kind of a traditional girl group in the sense, but kind of, still had something of their own style. I mostly bring them up because they did make an impression on me as personalities. Even though the song wasn't the best, it was cool. And I know you didn't. I had to remind you of them.
Yeah.
Yes. So they didn't quite make an impression on you, but I am part of the ADD generation. If you do not stay consistent with your flow throughout the year, if you only really are big and blossomed over 3 months or 2 months or something like that, then by the time we get to the end of the year, I don't know who the fuck you are. And then it's just one of those things. But what I do remember of Bob Girls, it was kind of cute. I thought it was meh at best, and hoped to kind of see more from them. Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where I like what I'm seeing. I kind of like the appeal that I'm getting from them. Maybe not as much as the first group we mentioned, but, in kind of judging this out and in the Hallyujuku, who we think, showed the best kind of thing, it's just one of those things where they're kind of the standard girl group. And when they really kind of show what they have and show what they're going to do, that's when, we'll pay attention, or when I'll pay attention, so to say.
They as personalities, they are impressing me on the Chrome Specialty Magazine, because apparently Gina plays mean table tennis, and they're kind of ridiculous and fun, and they do have a bit of potential once they start hitting their stride musically, when they go into that next phase of appearing on variety shows, because I think they'll impress on that level. But they have some fun personalities, and they have talent, so. They've got talent. So it's going to be interesting. And I'm generally inclined to want to support anything from Chrome Entertainment, just because as a label, I think they do cool things, as a business, and they're a bunch of cool people. But hopefully good things from Bob Girls. Another couple of kind of, one recent debut and one debut that happened early that kind of was very quick, and we're gonna also bring up in our disappointments. First of all, Purfles happened recently with actually a very cool, impressive debut. We're gonna talk about it in a second. Polish the debuts. Again, I keep teasing. I keep pulling that Johnson. Purfles did have a pretty polished debut in 123. Their debut track. They impressed me well with a pretty solid track. And though it was just let me see, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
They had a very interesting visuals to their video. They had a very interesting style. The song was really cool.
I'm kind of checking out some of their live performances.
Yeah. It was an interesting debut, and I think they definitely impressed as far as debuting girl group. They've got some fans out there, which is cool. And I'm definitely looking forward to them, because they do have a cool style and intensity that I'm looking forward to more of. They're nice and polished. This year was also, I think, if anything impressed me this year, for this group and the main group that we're going to talk about in a second, was how polished, how polished the debuts are. How much care is now taken in, even non-big three labels debuting a new artist are doing so with a bit of polish and skill, which is really impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also Kiss and Cry is another one that debuted. But Kiss and Cry was actually a song that impressed me, was actually pretty cool and interesting. It wasn't for everybody. I don't think everybody's impressed. I know you said that you kind of weren't a big fan of it. But it was well done. It was actually, like I said, an artist that was from a label, not from the big three, that impressed with a polished debut with their song Domino Game. And it had a very interesting sound, kind of more of a Spanish pop sound. La Ramba.
Yeah.
But a very, very cool debut. And we're going to talk about them and their disappointment.
But at the same time, like, it's all I remember is this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think there was anything else from them.
Yeah, no.
Like, I don't
think they even really appeared on music shows. They appeared on a few music shows, but they didn't really make a lot of splashes. I typed in
Kiss and Cry. I got one music show performance.
Yeah. So.
And a dance cover.
Yeah. So, which is kind of disappointing. It's a bummer. But they had a lot of promise, and if they do regroup, because apparently the rumors are they're going to disband. They've disbanded at this point, which is kind of a bummer. If they do regroup, or if the ladies do find new homes and new places to kind of do their thing, even if it is individually or new groups. I think, there are girls that could put something together that's really cool, and they are very attractive. But moving on to, I think, groups that did make more of an impression. So we're going to talk about Red Velvet. Well, I show everybody the doc. Red Velvet. Red Velvet, of course, was the group that debuted to distract everybody from EXO. I mean, to showcase the new young female trainees.
Female talent. Yeah.
So Red Velvet debuted with a kind of quite a bit of hoopla, quite a bit of hype, and quite a little bit of promise for a girl group from SM. Of course, when it's SM and they're going to say, hey, new girl group from SM, people are going to listen. People are going to pay attention. And so, big three. Though the debut kind of had quite a bit of controversy. And you guys can go back to our old episode where we talked about it at length. They actually had a pretty cool debut. I think I liked the song even better than I think quite a few people did. It was a cool song. I think it grew on me. I think I wasn't initially impressed, but it grew on me quite a bit. And they definitely caught people's attention. That they've had a bit of a lasting presence. They are charting well. They are on the list of people that have actually sold albums this year, at a significant level. So they are starting their career well, and I think they did have an impressive debut. So with not only with Happiness and with the recent song.
Yeah, I think outside of all the drama, that kind of originally slated them, even their own drama. You know what I'm saying? Like they were so encased in drama that it was weird, but then you still kind of get a group that showed really well.
Yeah.
And I they're also the thing of it's gonna sound weird, but the lost kind of individuality at first and trying to find ways to show them off, so the different hair color and customization, things like that. Those are things that will disappear, because those are the things I tend to hate. I love getting to see kind of the personality of these girls and things like that. It's the reason we love 2NE1. It's the reason we love FX. It's the reason we like Girls' Generation, even though there's all those girls in that group, you know, they all have their own personalities that shine outside of it. Maybe not as much as FX and 2NE1 do, but you get those things. So, if any of these groups can have that at some point, that makes them stand out.
Yeah.
Really, really, really.
It's very, I mean, it was an interesting ploy that they had for individualizing them, which was, just have them different colored hair. And it's definitely understandable because, quite a few of them look very similar. even as somebody who's, and this is, of course, not, we've been talking about K-pop and, East Asian pop culture for a good year and over a year, and we've been enthusiasts for longer than that. So it's not a, hey, you know, Asians, these girls just do look very similar. They're kind of a prototypical pretty young Korean girl that is fit for an idol group look. So it was understandable that they wanted to do that, but I think it's something that disappeared almost like for their next song immediately, and I imagine it's going to be something that will be continuously downplayed as you get a chance to actually learn who they are. You know, variety show appearances, you know, music show performances as they become more known through various ways. You know, I think they definitely have quite a bit of potential. Yeah, they have quite a bit of potential, and I think they're going to do fairly well. And they can, and with their performance of Be Natural, they show that they can do something different than from their debut. Their debut was peppy and cute, and then this one was mature and kind of sexy or sensually mature and kind of very in a different style. So they do have versatility. So they definitely did impress this year. Red Velvet. But moving on to other girl groups that impressed. I want to talk a little bit about Dakiuyu. We're gonna get to our all-time winners for this year, but Dakiuyu, you know I love me some crayon pop.
Yeah,
you know I love me some crayon pop. Almost kind of cult-like love for crayon pop. So when I found out that there was gonna be a subunit of crayon pop, I was hopeful.
Now, do subunits really count as a new premiere for the year?
They do for me. When it comes to crayon pop, because I loved this track, Dakiuyu, aka Strawberry Milk, the subunit of crayon pop, came out with this track, Okay, with a mini album to accompany it. And it was, let's say it was every, as somebody put it, sound-wise, it was every slice of life anime theme song ever. But I loved it for that. I loved how it was just so super catchy and fun, and it was cute, and that they dance well, and then they have their names written on their butts, and it's the Hot Twins, you know. I love me some Choa and Wei, because they're ridiculous and fun, and this gives them chances to be on like variety shows together and be ridiculous together. And I love this track. What did you think of this track? What do you think of how, you know, this debut?
I thought it was okay. Like I still, if given the choice, I like crayon pop as a whole than kind of as these broken up pieces of it. But it wasn't bad, you know. But it's not something I would seek out.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to gush about Dakiuyu because it was just so much fun. But yeah, let's move on to our undisputed champs for the year. Something we kind of agreed with, just in general, which is our undisputed champs of the whole year when it came to debuting groups, which was the four and only Mamamoo. They're a group that was making splashes even before they debuted. You know, collaborating with Bumkey, collaborating with guys like K Will. You know, they were making connections.
Let's go through this really quick, right? Those things that I said in the toll of all these other groups that we came to before we got to Mamamoo, right? And it wasn't like we went through all of these and then, you know, it was like, oh, we're going to put Mamamoo last. It was just the way we built that list. And then when we thought about it, it was just like, yo, Mamamoo dominated. And the thing is, they stayed consistent throughout the whole year through their music performances on shows and the things that they did and having articles written about them and doing all those things. The collaboration just pushed them out and over the top. Damn, Bunky. And then
they officially debuted this year with a Mr. Ambiguous, and they completely impressed. Like, it was just a great, solid debut track. Like, It was just so catchy and fun.
They also did in a really cool way, and part of that whole lead up to their debut is they gave each individual girl their own personality, or not even giving them their own personality, but let them show off their own personality in these lead ups and then into the release and then all that stuff. Like, each girl kind of shine in her own way and showing you who she is and doing all those things. Like, you know that one girl is the dancer, one girl is the rapper, one girl is the vocalist, you know, like you know that about this group because that's how they led you into them. That's what they gave you for them.
Yeah. And similar to what we talked about with something I mentioned back in the day when we were talking about Spick Up, there's no weak link vocally. Like, I mean, except for maybe Moonbyul, who is mainly just a rapper. All the other three girls, and she can sing well as well. All the other, she's the closest thing you get as a weak link, but all the other girls can belt it out with the best of them, vocally. And you know, Mr. Ambiguous was a top notch like debut track, and then they came back with Piano Man, and we talked about it recently. You can go back to that episode.
Which he gushed over.
Yes, because it was just it hit right. It was a very cool sound, very, very, unique to them sound. They owned it. Every live performance has been fantastic. Like, they've killed it on music shows. Like, they debuted, they have, had a polished debut. They came in debuting like if they were freaking 5-year veterans. Like you would never know that they were a rookie group because they just had this stage presence. Yeah. Like, they had this stage presence and charisma that they just like owned. You know, they owned the music show stages. They owned the music videos. They just owned it. They were there, and they were going to let you know that they were there, and you know, there's nothing you could do about that. It was just fantastic. Oh God, Mamamoo.
Yeah, no, they crushed it. They crushed every music performance they did. I think they even won a few of the music shows too.
I don't think they haven't gotten to winning. I know they were a finalist on one episode recently, but they haven't won yet. I'm looking forward to their music show win because I would know that if they won a music show, I would be excited. But they haven't won yet.
Okay. I could have sworn that they won one.
But they're more hitting the mainstream appeal more than kind of, because music shows is more about fandoms than it is anything else.
Yeah.
But they are making some headway mainstream popularity wise. Their music is being used on like variety shows and like different TV shows. They are referenced.
Can I also mention, right, of a lot of the things, especially in the Hallyujuku bubble, right? This is a group that we heard a lot about coming up, right? We heard one track, right? We heard Mr. Ambiguous.
Or I think we
fell
heard,
in love
like,
with it.
Don't Be Happy. It was like the first track we heard. That was like them and
right.
It was like a guest rapper.
So let's say we heard those 2 tracks, right? We fucking bought the album, like right after that. Like, as soon as we knew that thing could be bought, we bought it, you know? And basically they kind of, in a sense, dominated, like, our mind space, because we ended up, like, dedicating, like, cause we were like, yo, we gotta review that album. We gotta listen to that album. And we loved that album.
Yeah.
You know?
And
so it's just that is that kind of thing that we're talking about. Like they premiered for us, they debuted, they stayed consistent throughout the year. Like they were hype enough that we got the album. We're impressed by what we heard. Yeah. And like are continued to be impressed by what we see, because we heard all the tracks already listening to the album. We heard Piano Man, we heard all those things, like, but adding those visuals to Piano Man made it stand out so much more, you know? Like, it's just really good.
Yeah, it's just so fantastic. And it makes me excited for all these, like, debuts that happened this year. But most of all, it makes me excited for what's to come as they explore further kind of their musical style. 'Cause, you know, you're gonna hear more about Wasa as a rapper, because Moonbyul is their designated rapper, but Wasa is also, she has a rap solo on their debut album, and she writes a lot of the lyrics, and she kind of has her own tracks, and she has a lot of songs, and they also had her track that kind of wasn't an official release, but was a fantastic video that they posted on their official YouTube, which was Pink Panties, the cover of Blurred Lines, which shows off the kind of the sense of humor of Wasa, and how much, and just as people and as personalities, I think even just almost as much as a group and a musical act, as people and as personalities, I fell in love with them. Like, they're just so much fun. Like, it's so amazing. Pink Pan. But yeah, Mamamoo. Look forward to more from them. Mamamoo.
Mamamoo, the like best debut.
Just
hands down.
Mm-hmm.
오른쪽으로 왼쪽으로